Good evening, everyone. So, for those who know me, I'm a huge Silent Hill fan. In fact, it's probably like my favorite game of all time. Honestly, it's just a groundbreaking, legendary, thought-provoking piece of video game art. So, let's go over the Silent Hill transmission that came out today. It's not a live stream. I already watched it, so I just kind of want to go over it and give my thoughts on it. So, I'm probably gonna just fast forward a bit. So right away from the start, I knew that okay, this is gonna be Silent Hill 2, which is arguably the best in the franchise and one of the greatest games of all time. So graphically, it looks phenomenal. There's no doubt about it. But the concern is always like, okay, visually, what we can do with today's graphical capabilities, it looks phenomenal, but the performance, that's what always comes down to. And that's where I have my biggest concerns. I'm not saying it's gonna be bad right away, of course, because like when I look at it, it's like, oh my god, this definitely shows promise, and this is easily one of the highlights and most promising. Like this shot right there, I'm just gonna zoom back for a second. Yeah, all of this, it looks beautiful. I think they got the atmosphere right. Like that right there, wow, that looks amazing. Like that fog, I'm really excited, at least visually, to see what this game is gonna be like. But yeah, what made Silent Hill really shine back in the day was the subtlety, the nuance, and just this minute attention detail, which gave such weight. But really, like also like what does reassure me, which gives me hope for this game, this remake rather, is the fact that Masahiro Ito is coming back and Akira Yamaoka. So already, I think in the past we learned that Akira Yamaoka does not necessarily make a good Silent Hill game, as great as his music may be. Even though he was producer on some of these games, that they really didn't come out great. But that Masahiro Ito is back, that for me is a huge boon to the success of this game. But Bloober Team, this is where it comes interesting. Now, I know that a lot of people have mixed opinions on Bloober Team. Personally, I'm actually kind of a fan. Do I think that they're necessarily up to the challenge for a game like Silent Hill? Because this is like a monumental, it's one of the most important video games of all time, as far as I'm concerned. Like, this is like as close as we've ever gotten to Shakespeare in level of video games. So they have enormous shoes to fill. So like my opinion on Bloober Team, I think they make very interesting, creative games with soul. But I think that they're a bit flawed in execution in terms of technicality, perhaps some game design choices. But you know what? I would much rather a flawed game, but a game that has soul. So I'm not shitting on them. I really like the work they do, actually. And like go Poland. The like I am Polish, so it is a nice. It's nice to see interesting game developers come out from my home country. But yeah, I still have my reservations. Like the Medium that came out last year, very interesting game. But the level of quality of a earth-shattering masterpiece like Silent Hill 2, to be determined. And like this as well for me, like yes, I know that there is combat in Silent Hill games, but does that mean that they're kind of stepping away from all those subtleties that the original Silent Hill games had? A lot of questions. I'm excited, curious, but wary at the same time. Though honestly, this is definitely one of the highlights of today's presentation. So I won't spend too much more time. Yeah, Pyramid Head as well. Of course, he looks like a badass. We'll see how they use him. And it is interesting that it's a PlayStation exclusive. So, I mean, no doubt the game is going to look phenomenal. We'll just have to see how it turns out in the end. But so I'm just going to skip over the chat here. It is nice to see Masahiro Ito, and he looks fucking phenomenal for his age, honestly. What a silver fox. Anyways, and same thing for Akira Yamaoka. Like, I feel like he hasn't aged a day. I mean, I guess that goes with the whole Asian culture. These guys age like fine wine. And I'm also curious to see, like, musically, what kind of changes are they going to make? Because the soundtrack of Silent Hill 2, in particular, oh my God, it's a soundtrack for the ages. So once again, I'm wary of like what kind of changes they will make. But seeing that at least he's there, that once again, the fact that some of the original members of the development team are there is a huge, huge boon for me. All right, those are pretty much my thoughts on Silent Hill 2. Once again, yeah, I mean, Bloober team, I really like these guys, and I wish them nothing but the best. But yeah, they have mighty huge shoes to fill. All right, let's skip a bit forward to the next project, which honestly, I think this project is very interesting. There have been leaks apparently, but I haven't caught any of them. Honestly, I've just kind of been avoiding with the plague. Like, I've heard so many fucking Silent Hill rumors that I just thought, you know what, at this point, when they'll actually announce something, then I'll listen. Until then, fuck it, I have things to do. But to just take a step back for a moment, the fact that Annapurna is working on this, that's very interesting and honestly gives me hope. I think this excites me even more than the Silent Hill 2 remake, because Silent Hill 2, that's something that's already cemented in my mind and something that is like sacred and untouchable and that's already been touched and defiled many times. So I come up that with a lot of hesitation. But this, honestly, and Annapurna Interactive has been responsible for so many interesting art house video game projects in the last several years. So honestly, I think this is a really good move. We don't know too much about what the game is, but honestly, I'm intrigued, and it's a very interesting teaser trailer. And I can't wait to see what this game is going to be like. Honestly, guys, take your time with Silent Hill's Townfall. I wish you nothing but the best. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that project. Once again, very interested. Um, Beyond this point, so it starts off pretty strong. Yes, Silent Hill 2, I do have my trepidations. Silent Hill Townfall, very promising and interesting, but after this point, oh, I have my. I'm worried. I mean, I don't know who here thinks that the original Silent Hill movies are good. I mean, this is my opinion, but I'm not excited at all to have the original director of the original film coming back here. Yeah, I know that they think it was a success, but I think the only way you could think that this is a success is if you think, oh, number one, the second movie was so fucking atrocious that it makes the first one look like a goddamn masterpiece. And also, the video game film industry, it's not really a high bar to cross. So in that sense, yes, the original Silent Hill film is one of the greatest video game to film adaptations, but that's not saying much. And especially nowadays when we have like TV shows like Castlevania and that great. I'm having a total brain lag at the moment. Jesus Christ. I'm gonna edit in the video, but forgive me. It's late in the evening. In any case, we at least have two examples of not just like pretty decent but outstanding video game to film or TV adaptation. Honestly, this is like at least I mean, at best a 5 out of 10 the original film. So yeah, that this guy's back as director, I'm nowhere near convinced. And of course, he's taking Silent Hill 2, which is like the go-to Silent Hill project that everyone talks about. And there was like one big red flag in there for me. And yeah, that's this guy, Pyramid Head. Honestly, I've seen Pyramid Head in so many fucking, like in his movie, in his original Silent Hill movie, in the sequel that was once again just beyond bad, and so many other Silent Hill games after the Japanese team abandoned that ship. If I see Pyramid Head anywhere outside of Silent Hill 2, I just disqualify it. It just doesn't make sense to me. So unless this is like an actual adaptation of the game Silent Hill 2, we already have problems here. So yeah, a lot of red flags. I don't think anything more needs to be said at this point in time. So yeah, not excited at all. And then this part, like the whole merchandise thing, yeah, this isn't something that's gonna get me hyped. Honestly, after like over a decade of just disappointment and pain to Silent Hill fans. Like you're coming out with a like after you destroyed PT Silent Hills and you just put out fucking pachinko machines. That's what you did to the Silent Hill franchise, and like you're coming out with like a potentially very bad movie, and now you're coming out with merchandise. This is not what we want to hear right now at all. Like maybe it will be cool, but this is not what I want to hear at all at this point in time. So I'm just skipping forward. And maybe this is a harsh criticism, but honestly, this is how I feel. Yeah, cute dog and all, but do justice to the franchise. You've done so much damage to it. This is not what I want to hear. And what's next? Had a bit of a camera problem there. Anyways, so my thoughts on this, it's really hard to make heads or tails, but I will keep an eye on this because it does seem like it could potentially be a bit of an experimental project. We'll see. We'll see. I'm curious, and there's definitely some interesting names attached to this project, so I'll keep an eye on it. However, all that being said, this whole part here makes me feel like this is like a multiplayer live service game. I don't know what to make of it. It stinks of microtransactions. We'll see what the future holds for this thing. But yeah, this is a bit of a red flag potentially for me. And for the final announcement, this one, oh, okay, a bit premature. Yeah, so this project, I mean, it's hard to make heads or tails of it, but and I have seen a few comments on the internet that say that it feels very much like a Fatal Frame kind of game. Honestly, like if I didn't know that this was a Silent Hill presentation, I would have just straight up assumed that this is a Fatal Frame game. Um, it seems interesting, but it's really too soon to tell. It's an interesting teaser trailer. I'll say that much. More promising and interesting than the rest of the stuff I've seen tonight. Yeah, there are definitely some interesting visuals, but I don't know. How should I explain it? The best way I can explain my thoughts on this is that it feels kind of like this like haunted house during Halloween. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating a bit, but it also kind of reminds me of the way the post-Japanese Silent Hill developed games use this like transformation, this kind of like Disney Wonderland transformation of the world into this like evil part of the world. Yeah, it reminds me of that part in not the most flattering way, but maybe I'll be proved wrong. Once again, with this teaser trailer, interesting ideas, but too soon to say. There's definitely something interesting in this game. I mean, it looks unique visually. I don't know how much it fits within the Silent Hill lore, but there's definitely something artistically interesting going on here. And there's this like image at the end that is very, very interesting to me and disturbing. Like this in particular, ooh, what's going on here? Silent Hill F. And once again, like I was thinking that, oh my god, this feels very much like Fatal Frame. And to see that F, I don't know, maybe it is the Fatal Frame developers. And those games were really interesting. So, I wouldn't be necessarily against it. I really have to look up who these guys are that are working on it. So yeah, these are like my unfiltered opinions on what I saw today. Yeah, Konami in red. Yeah, still, I still haven't gotten over the cancellation of PT, the destruction of PT rather, and the cancellation of Silent Hills. So when I was talking about Bloober Team and kind of resurrecting Silent Hill 2, once again wishing them best of luck, but Silent Hill 2 is easily one of the greatest games of all time. It's such a poetic and nuanced experience, which is why the whole world was so so excited that someone like Hideo Kojima was working on it. And clearly with PT, he proved that he had the knack, he had the understanding of the kind of vision they were going for, nailing of the subtleties and the details of what made Silent Hill special. And it was a truly scary experience. You know, and this is something that, as much as I like Bloober Team games, I don't find them that scary. I find them disturbing and creative, but true horror, not so much. PT, that little tiny free experience, holy shit, it still gets me nightmares. If I would boot it up right now, I would be freaking the fuck out, even though I know what's going on. That's how powerful it is. And I think that's the true mastery of Silent Hill. And even today, like I would boot up my PS2 and put on Silent Hill 2 or 3 or 1 for that matter. Those experiences are just as potent as they have ever been. Yeah, we'll see how these games turn out. It's a bit of a mixed bag tonight, but hey, I was gonna say can be worse than it's already been, but I don't want to fucking jinx it. So I'll just leave it at that. Take care, everyone.